There's a lot of video build guides out there that'll explain things to you about one particular class in Baldur's Gate 3, but I thought it would be fun to do a video showing all of the classes in a battle that's towards the end of the game. So I've got 4 of my favorite classes. Now, I don't think that all of these are the most powerful, but they're 4 of my favorite for sure. So let's take a look at those real quick before we begin. Using a Sorlock, which is a level 10 sorcerer, level 2 warlock. This character is incredible for dialogue with a high charisma, and on top of that, it does probably the most consistent damage. A really high chance to hit with Eldritch Blast, which is a cantrip it spams over and over for reliable and considerably high damage considering how consistent it is. This is a throw barb, a level 8 barbarian, level 4 rogue. And the levels in rogue here are to gain access to another feat as well as an extra bonus action. Subclass is the thief there. The Eldritch Knight is essentially the frontline or tank character in this party, and this character still does really good damage. I would say that for sure a strength-based tavern brawler monk is more damage as a character in melee, but this class is so tanky, and you'll see that as the battle gets going. I can basically just drop this character whenever I want and not need to worry about it surviving. This is my main support character, a level 9 cleric, and subclassed into a level 3 thief as well. This is for the extra bonus action again. This character is great out of combat. This character's prowess in combat is definitely the weakest of this particular party, but it's still pretty good overall, and that's why I like those 3 levels in rogue, is just give it additional bonus actions to add to that and just beef it up a little bit in the regards of combat. So let's go ahead and get started here. This is the throw barb, and this character I have bumped up the jump ability as well to some degree, which is really nice because I can actually jump up to areas like this and just start nuking. So I'm actually going to frenzy. We can see just how enemies are here. And there's going to be even more enemies than what we see now. So at this point, I want to get the frenzy going early. And here I'm just going to start throwing at targets that I want to eliminate, basically. Now, I'll only be able to throw twice on this first turn, but you'll see I still do a pretty high amount of damage. In fact, we do enough damage to kill that target in one turn. At this point, I will leave this character here. Now, for the Cleric Rogue, like I said, not my highest damage character. However, tons of support, tons of utility. Cleric spells are just so powerful in this game as well. I'm going to mirror image on the first turn, and that's because I'm going to want to use Spirit Guardians, and this will just kind of protect my Spirit Guardians in a way because it's increasing my armor class. Another thing I want to do here is actually send out my Spiritual Weapon, and this is just basically going to be a decoy. Spiritual Weapon can be really nice for getting enemies to group up, not only just being a distraction, but also forcing them to clump. And that'll allow you to take advantage of an AoE spell like Spirit Guardians on the following turn. I don't know if I can actually hit any of these, but that's fine. It's more important to me to actually be behind that pillar that I am. I can actually get on that target there. In fact, I'll kill it with that extra poison, which is because this is the trickery domain cleric. So now I'm behind this pillar, which is nice for anything that's going to be up in this direction. This character I'm going to send out over here away from that spiritual weapon. And if possible, I'll get on that winged horror. I'm not sure I can... Maybe if I back up a hair. Perfect. Should be able to take that out. Oh, just shy. Missed with a relatively high chance. Should be able to drop him. He doesn't move, so I should be able to take that target out next turn before it gets any reinforcements. And my Eldritch Knight also with a very solid ability to jump, so I'll make use of that and head up. And I'm just going to have him soak all the damage and clear a path straight forward on this bridge. You'll see, not that those targets have a lot of life, but he still does considerable damage. And here I'm actually just going to move into melee range, just in case that target decides to move. This character has a high armor class, the ability to shield, as you're seeing here. In fact, I'm not even going to use it, because he's nearly at full health, including the temporary hit points. And a simple ranged attack isn't going to do much damage to that character. But the access of those wizard spells is so much more power than I expected from that particular subclass, the Eldritch Knight. Spiritual Weapon actually gets a turn off, surprisingly. Reposition that around a little bit. So we're in very good shape at this point. You see some more enemies getting added to the battle, and this will continue again. It's a very fun battle for anybody who hasn't experienced it yet. A lot of different ways to play this, and if this is on the balanced difficulty, if you'd like to see this on the tactician difficulty, I'm happy to cover that as well. I would play a little more conservatively than I'm doing here, but I'd be happy to show that as well if there's interest. And just first time I've done one of these videos in this particular style, showing off the builds live as opposed to, you know, staging them and showing off the abilities in a clip dedicated to that particular class. I still want to take this target out, so just to be safe, I'm going to throw... Actually, I won't. I will swap to my Cleric Rogue and Sorlock instead. Hopefully this will be able to see a path here. Part of the wing or something. I cannot. I have to pick him off with an AoE spell. I want him to go down before he calls for help. While I'm here, I will just pick off, do some added damage, I should say, on my turn. And you'll see, even with a miss there, it still does really good damage on this character. Very fun build, just despite just essentially spamming Eldritch Blast for the majority of actions. Get some additional height. Why did my weapon... Looks like my weapon didn't return for a second. Perhaps I was too quick. Did it again. If we can get back down the ladder here. And I'm going to melee just so I don't hit myself with the AoE damage, even though my health is in perfectly good shape at this point. I'm willing to take that opportunity attack. This character is still over 100 health with the temporary hit points. And that'll allow me to get onto this lower life enemy. You'll see this character, not a ton of damage, but it kind of does enough. And I like just the ability to conserve spell slots with those extra attacks. Let's continue chopping with this character. Again, just positioning him onto the targets there. And I really have no fear here. The only thing I'm even considerably worried about here would be a stun, but honestly I think that Eldritch Knight could get stunned and survive still. This party very powerful, far more powerful than you need to be. I will re-roll that with the Indomitable. So a party that has this much strength in combat is far more than you need in this particular game. There's been a lot of builds dedicated to like the strongest characters. It's just not needed. I mean, they're fun. Don't get me wrong. I've enjoyed them as well. And these builds are considerably strong as well. But if you feel like you can't play something that you enjoy, that's definitely not the case. You'll see a whole bunch of enemies added at this point. So I'm going to melee this guy again. And now I'm going to head over in this direction to the right, because I think that other side is just fine. I would strongly suggest playing the things that you enjoy, and I really don't think you'll have any difficulty. There's a cunning action, which is from the Rogue class. Get that at level 2. Very strong ability. You get cunning action, dash, hide, and disengage, and all of them are very useful on any character. Rogue is probably the strongest multi-class option for the highest amount of other classes. It's just incredibly powerful. In the case of this throw barb, it gives you an additional enraged throw. So anytime that you've used that Rage or Frenzy, you get an extra Enraged throw because it's a bonus action. So he does some work there. All these enemies up here should be good opportunity. I'm going to throw a Guardian of Faith right up here, just as a potential roadblock. And again, I'm willing to take an opportunity attack just to get in there and use myself as bait. I'll put on my shield just to intimidate them. And actually, I kind of want to take him out just to be safe. Should have hexed there, just to help ensure that. You know what? I'll just jump into the circle. Take out as much as I can. Just doing so much value from this guy. Still got Action Surge available here, but I don't think I need it yet. Some value from the Guardian. Not really worth it given the initiatives here, so I'll just eat that attack. $11 life. Let's gamble here. Perfect. Some good opportunities for the throw barb here if I can land another hit on the Mind Flayer. Perfect. Now if I can get myself all the way in the back there, or just get myself an angle on the enemy. Just trying to make sure I don't jump somewhere I won't, but let's try that. Try to focus the spectator down. A little over 50 damage just to the main target, and everything else gets AoE'd. This is a really fun class, especially once you get the legendary weapon Nirolna. This is just super powerful. It does AoE thunder damage in a 6-meter blast centered around where you land, and on top of that, you get 3-meter bonus to movement and jump distance. Just absolutely amazing just to have that passive bonus. I'd like to just move in front of my party member and throw a lightning bolt straight forward. Good damage there. Yeah, I really can conserve these spell slots. I mean, I could drop something like a Cloud Kill there and just absolutely devastate them, but don't even think I need to use those spell slots. Just go with Old Faithful. So I did a little bit of a risk putting these characters near each other on the previous turn. Fortunately, only one of them got stunned, but at this point I want to separate them just in different angles so that they both aren't getting stunned by the same attack. And this is early enough, I'm going to go ahead and shield. In case anything else wants to hit me. He's just working his way down the line. Just left a path of corpses and blood on that bridge. Doesn't even need it. Can save that spell slot. I'm really not worried about low damage numbers at this point. My party in perfectly good health at this point. Not worried about the damage from the Tentacle Whip. I was worried about the saving throw, which is why I didn't shield. In retrospect, with him stunned, again, I don't think he's even going to go down. It's definitely not now with the number of enemies and what's there. Just seeing what the options are on that character. Much have to jump down at some point, so I think I'm gonna jump now. I don't want to AoE my own party member if I can prevent it, so I think what I'll actually do is jump and just melee this turn. Still does pretty good damage meleeing. And then position myself as far up as I can over here, just for the following round.
Stay focused.
Even able to get a sneak attack there. And this, like I said, this class has ways of boosting that damage. Overall, I found this character really useful. And like I said, the combat is not its strong point. It's really the utility that it brings. I mean, you could make an argument for something like Spirit Guardians in the right battle, where you just do enormous AoE. I have to go back for that enemy. Oh, even better. This one gonna be blocked.
Very well.
Got them both. All right. Should be wrapping this up now. Overall, I hope this gives you a good idea of how these function in live combat as opposed to just cutting away when talking about abilities and so forth. And I hope that this gives you some ideas or suggestions that maybe you're looking for on your current playthrough or a following playthrough as well. Like I said, you absolutely do not need 4 classes like this, or even if you want to add Tavern Brawler Monk into the mix, you don't need all your characters to be that powerful. You can get through the game fairly easy overall, especially if you're on balanced. But this party will still really just roll over Tactician as well. Throw keeps not returning the weapon right away. Didn't even see that guy. I still need to kind of get up there. Weapon didn't return at all that time. Well, I'm gonna go back for the weapon.
Finish this. Got to press on. Nothing will stand in my way.
See if we can clean up with the fighter now. So overall, very conservative with spell slots. You know, obviously intentional, it's just trying to get through the battle with a minimum. But this party very capable of clearing things. All these builds just very good for having multiple combat encounters. None of these are really depending on resting frequently. The Sorlock has incredible sustain just from spamming Eldritch Blast over and over. The Cleric Rogue has good sustainability in damage regards because you can conserve your spell slots and use your ranged hand crossbows and take advantage of things like sneak attack and the poison from the thievery domain. Throw barb, just incredible sustain provided your weapon comes back to you, but there's other ways of making any weapon return. You don't need this specific one. And the Eldritch Knight, like I said, just so durable and so tanky. I really think that that subclass is undervalued. A lot of people say it's just too weak in the wizard department, but for this particular game, I find it's more than enough. It's so strong having access to shield, access to mirror image, which I didn't even use on that character, but bumping the armor class up another 9 points is enormous on that character. Huh. Hope you all enjoyed. As always, thanks for taking the time to watch, and have a great day.